여러분 반갑습니다. I'm 권소와 and this is K-Culture Dive. Join us in taking a deep dive into the heart of Korean culture, from K-entertainment to AI news, and a look back at 60 years of K-musicals and their future. And with that, let's dive in. Joining us on today's show is Walter Lee. Walter, happy Friday. Welcome back.
Happy Friday, Stella, and hello to everyone joining us on K-Culture Dive today. I'm Walter Lee, here to host alongside Stella and bring you the latest in K-entertainment stories.
And today's K-Enter stories are focused on boy groups and some important milestones. And we're going to start with...
We're going to start with ENHYPEN. Now, the boy group's 8th mini album, The Sin BLISS, has officially become a double million seller. Now, according to Hanto Chart, South Korea's real-time music sales tracking platform, The Sin BLISS sold over 2 million copies as of this midweek. Now, on Monday, we actually reported only days after the album's release that it sold 1 million records. And just less than 5 days after that, it has sold another million, showing ENHYPEN's immense popularity. Now, this is now ENHYPEN's 5th album to surpass 2 million copies in sales, following Orange Blood, Romance Untold, Desire Unleash, and The Sin Vanish. Now, The Sin BLISS is the group's first release since reorganizing as a 6-member act, and has also made a strong start in Japan, selling more than 165,000 copies on its first day and taking the #1 spot on Oricon's daily album ranking from August 25th.
All right, let's stay on the Oricon chart because another boy group is doing well on that particular chart. Yes,
indeed they are. Next one up is Zero Base One, who have scored a double crown on Japan's Oricon charts. Now, Zero Base One's second Japanese EP, Return Love, topped Oricon's weekly combined albums ranking following its earlier #1 debut on the weekly albums ranking from August 18th to the 21st. Now, since its release, Return Love has continued to do well across Japan's major music charts. Now, the EP also topped Tower Records' overall album charts across all stores, as well as Billboard Japan's top album sales chart. Now, returning with their first Japanese release in 10 months, Zero Base One are continuing strengthening their presence on the Japanese music charts while expanding their influence on that market.
And let's end with some news on Cortez, who just recently celebrated their first year since their debut, right?
Yes, indeed. And also more celebrations for Cortez, as the lead track from their first mini album, What You Want, has surpassed 100 million cumulative streams roughly a year after its release on Spotify. Now, the song has become the group's 4th track to pass 100 million streams, following other songs such as Go, Fashion, and Red Red. Now, What You Want delivers a bold message about going after what you want without hesitation. With confidence and fearless energy, the song quickly won over fans. Its dynamic performance featuring choreography and in and around treadmills also helped heighten the song's powerful atmosphere. Now, Cortez are also showing strong momentum on international albums charts. On the Billboard 200, for instance, the group's second mini album, Green Green, ranked 155, extending its run on the chart to 15 consecutive weeks.
3 different K-pop groups with great achievements and all different unique styles.
Indeed.
Well, thank you very much for those updates, Walter, and stick around.
Will do.
All right, now it's time to move on to our AI anchor, Arang, for more on the culture front. Arang.
Thanks, Swa. Here's your AI guide to the latest cultural headlines from Korea. Let's begin with our top story. 1 in 5 foreign tourists visiting South Korea in the first half of this year entered through a regional airport. According to the Korea Tourism Organization, about 20% of foreign visitors to Korea during the first half of the year arrived through regional airports, including those in Cheongju, Daegu, and Gimhae. Notably, Cheongju Airport saw arrivals surge 109% year-on-year, driven by expanded low-cost courier services and a rise in Taiwanese tourists. The KTO says regional airports, local destinations, and K-content are emerging as new gateways for tourism demand. The 2026 Gayatri Mulai World Heritage Festival will kick off today, showcasing the Gayatri Mulai, a UNESCO World Heritage Site spread across 3 provinces in Korea's southeastern and southwestern regions. The 7 Gaya-Tumu-Lai sites in Gimhae, Hamon, Gosong, Hapcheon, and Changnyeonggun County in Gyeongsang-Namdo Province, Goryeo-gun County in Gyeongsangbuk-do Province, and Namwon City in Jeonnam-buk-do Province will jointly host events from tonight through September 10th, beginning with opening ceremonies this evening. Each site will highlight the Gaya-Tumu-Lai's outstanding universal value, as well as its historical and cultural significance, through a range of programs, including storytelling lectures, telescope observations, and archaeological excavation experiences. Programs are available by reservation through the official website, worldheritagegaya.kr. A forum in Seoul has brought together leading figures in the global ballet world to discuss the future of ballet education. The inaugural 2026 Seoul Global Ballet Forum, themed Rethinking Ballet Education Today, features 8 leaders from top ballet companies sharing their teaching philosophies. The forum, along with master classes, runs through next Monday. About 100 dance professionals and students are expected to attend, with speakers including Susan Jaffe, Artistic Director of American Ballet Theatre. At the press conference Thursday, international ballet educators highlighted that Korea has become a new center of gravity for ballet, citing Korean dancers' strong adaptability and solid foundational training. That's all from me. Turning now to a quick look at more K-culture stories making headlines today.
Sometimes films do more than tell stories. They can serve as cultural evidence, helping preserve memories of the past. Spirit's Homecoming, or Gwihyang, a Korean film depicting the experiences of women who were forced into sexual slavery during Japan's colonial rule, has returned to theaters 10 years after its original release. With fewer survivors left to share their stories firsthand, the film is taking on a new role, keeping their memories alive for generations to come. Our Park Chae-ryung takes a closer look.
During Japan's colonial occupation of Korea, many women were forced into sexual slavery. As time passes, the number of survivors able to testify firsthand has shrunken year by year, leaving only 5 so-called comfort women still alive today. Against this backdrop, the 2016 film Spirit's Homecoming, which portrays the suffering of the victims, was recently re-released.
Here at CGV Yongsan, audiences are once again coming face to face with a story first brought to the screen 10 years ago.
Some moviegoers share their thoughts on the film.
I hope this re-release gives more people a chance to see it again and reflect once more on the history of the comfort women.
The problem of the Japanese military sexual slavery system is not a problem of the past, it's connected to reality because there's still women in many parts of the world that experience gender-specific violence and sexual violence. Even quite close to home in Ukraine, there's also a lot of violence against women as a war tactic, so I think it's an issue that we need to continue talking about.
The film is based on testimonies from victims of Japan's wartime sexual slavery and depicts the suffering of young Korean girls taken from their homes during the colonial era. When it first hit theaters in 2016, Spirit's Homecoming drew more than 3.5 million moviegoers, bringing renewed public attention to the victims' experiences. A decade later, however, the number of registered survivors still alive has fallen from 47 to just 5. As first-hand witnesses grow fewer, the director of the movie says the film has taken on another role.
A film alone cannot change reality, but a film can serve as a form of cultural evidence. I hope this film will help preserve this painful part of Korea's history and help prevent such a tragedy from ever happening again.
President Lee Jae-myung also marked the film's return in a social media post, calling on the public to remember the painful history and ensure that the victims' stories are not forgotten. 10 years after its first release, Spirit's Homecoming is returning not only as a film about the past, but also as a record for current and future generations. Park Chae-ryung, Arirang News.
Open the freezer at a Korean convenience store, and you'll find one of the country's strangest bestsellers: a cup of ice. No flavor, no color, no aroma. Just a few chunks of ice in a clear plastic cup. And yet, convenience stores say ice cups are among their best-selling products year after year. So why does this seemingly empty cup sell so well? The answer is simple. It allows you to fill the void. Peach iced tea, blue lemonade, or green grape juice. Pick your pouch, pour it over the ice, and voila! A cafe-style drink for half the price. There's no fixed recipe either. Customers have invented their own combinations, from energy drinks with soda to banana milk with cafe lattes. One convenience store chain analyzed its sales data and found that the item most frequently bought alongside an energy drink was, you guessed it, an ice cup. And even that simple cup of ice is carefully engineered. At the ice-making plant, purified water is slowly frozen for more than 2 days, just below its freezing point. The slower the freeze, the clearer the ice, and the longer it takes to melt. The goal? To keep your custom-made drink cold to the very last sip. You might think this is a uniquely Korean trend, but when a Korean convenience store opened in Honolulu, Hawaii last year, the ice cup topped sales with up to 1,000 sold in a single day. No instructions, no translation needed. Because what's selling isn't just a cup of ice, it's a blank canvas for your creativity.
Korean musicals are celebrating their 60th anniversary this year. Over the past 6 decades, the Korean musical industry has grown rapidly and is now expanding beyond Korea to stages in Broadway and the West End. Today, we'll take a look at how far K-musicals have come and where they are headed next with our culture critic, Professor Ji Hae-won at Kyung University. Welcome back, Professor Ji.
Hello, Professor.
Hello, good afternoon.
All right, so 60 years of Korean musicals. So first and foremost, where did Korean original musicals begin and what major productions have shaped the industry?
Right, the Korean original musicals can be traced back to 1966 with 살짝이 없어예, so which is often called Korea's first original musical, and it was based on a traditional Korean story with the Korean music and dance with the Western musical format. Then in the 1980s and 90s, the industry really started to grow. So Subway Line 1, 지하철 1호선 became a major hit, and The Last Empress, 명성 황후, was another important success. So it premiered in Korea in 1995 and became one of the best known Korean original musical. And in 1997, it was performed at Lincoln Center in New York City and making an important step onto the international stage. So in the 2000s, so we began to see a much wider range of the Korean original musicals like Laundry, Ballet, told a very warm story about the ordinary people, while Hero, Young-woong, brought on Korean history to the musical stage on a much larger scale. And this was also performed in New York City. So, and today, works like Maybe Happy Ending, 어쩌면 Happy Ending are gaining international recognitions. So, over the past 60 years, I believe Korean musicals have grown and found their own voice, and now we are reaching more audiences around the world.
Wow, that was like 60 years in 60 seconds. I couldn't have summarized it any better.
Thanks.
Right, and you did mention Maybe Happy Ending, which actually walked away with 6 Tony Awards. Now, in your opinion, what kind of, let's say, turning point or impact did this achievement have on Korean musicals?
Yeah, that was definitely a major turning point for the Korean musical theater. So what makes Maybe Happy Ending so special is that it was originally originally created and developed in Korea first. So it first premiered in Seoul in 2016, and years later, it made its way to Broadway. So winning 6 Tony Awards, including Best Musical, Best Book, and Best Score, was especially meaningful. It showed that a musical created in Korea could be recognized for its story and its music and creativity on the world's biggest musical theater stage. So I believe this really changed how we see the global potential of Korean musicals. So Korea is no longer just a market for the international musical theaters. Now Korea is also bringing its own original musicals to the global stage. So in that sense, I think maybe Happy Ending has really opened a door and a new chapter for the Korean musicals and the creators as well.
It is a remarkable achievement. And speaking of remarkable, there is a Korean actress, musical actress, who actually was a K-pop star before, Ivy. She actually used to perform at my university back then. And I mean, she debuted more than 20 years ago, but now she's playing Roxy at Broadway for Chicago, of course. And I hear she's actually with that, she became the first Korean musical actress to take such a big lead role. So what does this milestone mean?
Yeah, that's true. She is the very first Korean musical actor on Broadway. So I think Ivy's Broadway debut is a very important milestone for the Korean musical theater. It's huge. It's really huge. So what makes it even more special is that she learned the role through the very strict audition process. So she wasn't a part of the Korean production performing in New York. She was actually cast in the Broadway production of Chicago. So until now, when we talked about the Korean musicals going global, we mostly talked about Korean productions going overseas, but Ivy shows us something new. So which is that Korean performers themselves can also make it to Broadway or West End. So, and after the success of maybe Happy Ending, this feels even more meaningful. We are now seeing both the Korean original musicals and the Korean performers gaining recognition on Broadway. So I hope Ivy's success will open more doors for the Korean performers in the future on Broadway or West End.
Right.
Right, and Chicago being probably one of the most recognized musicals in the world, and Roxy being such an important character. Ivy has had the chance to play this for many years and sort of develop her own interpretation as well. I mean, every actress or actor is different in that way, where they want to put a little bit of themselves within the character. Now, what do you see as the strengths and competitive edge maybe a Korean musical actor or actress has on the global stage?
Yeah, I think a Korean musical actors have some real strengths because they are very trained and experienced and very dedicated. So Ivy is a great example. So she started her career as a pop singer, as you just mentioned, but over the years, she has become a very experienced musical actress. And she has played Roxy in Korea nearly 600 times.
Wow.
Right, so she knows the character inside and out and has developed her own way of playing Roxy. But the Broadway was still a new challenge for her, especially because of the language. So she studied English intensively for about a year and a half and worked very hard on her pronunciation and accent. And I just heard that she's still learning and she's still practicing. So what really stands out to me is that even with all that experience, she was still willing to learn and grow and challenge herself. So I believe that combination of the skill, experience, and the ability to keep growing, can give the Korean musical actors a real competitive edge on the global stage.
Right. Being a good actor is one thing, but being good at acting and singing in a different language is dance, right? Because the diction is very important in musicals.
I'll add on to that as well. Chicago being based at obviously Chicago, the Chicago accent is quite interesting and quite hard to master. So for her to play 600 times and for her to keep coming back is just an amazing achievement.
Right,
now,
it is amazing. Right?
Yeah. So Korea's production capabilities these days when it comes to musicals has come a long way over the 60 years. Like you briefly mentioned, you gave us a sort of historical timeline.
Right.
How has the system for developing and creating original musicals changed over, let's say, the years?
Right. One of the biggest changes is that the whole process has become much more systematic and global. So today, new musicals in Korea can go through readings, workshops, and trial performances like a tryout and before a full production. So this gives the creative teams more time to test their works and get feedbacks from the audiences or the professionals and make it better, their work better. So another important change is that the role of Korean musical producers. So they are now working with the more international writers and composers and directors from the very beginning. So The Great Gatsby is a great example. It was led by Korean producer Shin Chun-soo, working with the international creative team and became a major Broadway show. And now we are seeing more global projects like Nero, produced by Shinshi Company and producer Bang Myung-sung. And another one is Friends and Mary, developed by ACOM with the British creative teams. So Korean producers are no longer just beginning international musicals to Korea or taking Korean musicals overseas. They are now creating and developing new works with diverse creators all over the world. So I believe this is a very important step forward for the Korean musical theater.
And continuing with that step forward, Professor Ji, we've also got productions such as Marie Curie and Swag Age, Shout Out Joseon. Those have also found success overseas.
Right.
So would you say we are entering a new stage when it comes to Korean musicals going abroad?
Yes, definitely. Yes. I think we are now seeing a real wave of Korean musicals going global. So what is exciting is that it's not just one or two successful shows. It's more Korean musicals are finding their way into the different markets, over global markets. So Marie Curie was developed into the English production in London, and Red Book had an English reading and showcase in London, and this year it had first the Japanese production as well. And The Last Man has its UK premiere in London earlier this year. And while the Let Me Fly is now developing an English version for the US market. And the Swag Age Shout Out Joseon, 외쳐 조선, is also being developed for a UK tour. So what we are seeing now is a much broader movement. More Korean stories are reaching different countries in different languages and different forms. So I believe Korean K-musicals are beginning to build a real presence in the global musical theater market.
And before we let you go, Professor Ji, would there be any other Korean musicals that the international audience should keep an eye on, which could potentially become the next global Korean musical hits?
Yes, there are. There are actually several Korean musicals to watch later this year. So as I just mentioned earlier, Friends and Mary opens in London on September 28th, and the Nero will begin its London tryout on November 2nd. So we'll be able to see very soon how these new global projects are received globally. And I would also keep an eye on Granny Poetry Club, 오지게 재밌는 가시나들. It is a warm and very Korean story about the elderly women who learn to read and write, and then begin writing their own poetry. so which I really love this show. So I will, and it will have the English reading showcase in London later this year, and beyond this year, Arang, a new Korean musical, 목류도원, is another musical theater to watch. So this actually won the Baeksang Arts Award for the best musical this year, and that its next big goal is Broadway in 2028. So what is exciting is that these musicals are all very different. They show the diversity of Korean musical theater today. So I am so excited to see which one became the next global hit, like maybe Happy Ending.
We can feel that excitement, Professor Z. And I should keep this a secret to Walter, but I actually watched Granny Poetry Club with Professor Z together.
Yes, we did.
So let's time.
Where was my invite?
Next time, let's go together. And I mean, really, with these developments, really, it looks like Korean musicals' future is brighter than ever. Thank you very much, Professor Z, for those insights, and see you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Walter, as always. We're going to have you back here next week.
See you next week.
Thanks for watching and for your interest in everything K-Culture. K-Culture Dive will be back on Monday, 2 p.m. Korea time. Have a culture-filled weekend and keep diving.